Yeah, I think it's. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. We are today at the last day of our discussion, and we will be very short today because, as you are aware, that you have a site visit. We have organized a site visit for all those delegates who are interested for the site visit. And therefore, we are going to be very brief and concise. The agenda for today is presentation, review, and adoption of the outcome statement, which will be regarded as the Pointe communiqué. And following that, the next agenda will be on host, venue, and date of the next ICE meeting, 2019. Then after that, we'll have the last agenda for today will be the closing ceremony, where we'll have a statement of appreciation by delegates, and this will be performed by Botswana. And there will be the closing remarks by the ECA, and then the official closing statement by the 24th ICE host, Mauritius, that is ourselves. So without any further delay, I now invite for the presentation, review, and adoption of the outcome of statement. Thank you. Yes, on my right side, you have seen that the rapporteur was here all throughout from day one, and today I think he will have to give us an overview of what we discussed, the resolution. Okay, sir. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I understand that they are trying to beam the report, so just be patient for a moment. Thank you so much. I think we can now start. Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity for Malawi to be rapporteur for this important meeting. And personally, for me, it is a privilege. And now we are presenting a draft outcome statement of the 24th session of the Inter-Governmental Committee of Experts of Southern Africa, ICE, 18th to 21st September in the year of the Lord 2018 at Pointe or Piments in Mauritius. You will notice that on page 2, paragraph 1 is about the ICE meeting. Paragraph 2, I'll breeze through until we get to the recommendations where we will focus our attention. Paragraph 2 is about the delivery of the keynote address. Paragraph 3 is the opening session. And paragraph 4 talks about the round table, ministerial round table. Paragraph 5 is about the delegates to this conference. So you may wish to confirm that you are appearing on the list of delegations. Paragraph 6 is about organizations that participated in this meeting. Then the program of work, which was duly adopted by this meeting. Over to page 3. Then there is an account of proceedings starting from paragraph 9. Here you'll notice that the committee considered 3 reports presented by the Secretariat. And then there was also a report on the theme of the ICE, the blue economy, inclusive industrialization and economic development in Southern Africa, which was presented and discussed by this committee. Then there was the committee also participated in the ad hoc experts group meeting, and there is a separate report for that meeting. Paragraph 10 is talking about the committee considered the report of the program performance of ECA Southern Africa Office 2016-2018 and the work program for 2018-2019. Then now we can go to the substantive issues, starting from paragraph 11, which is about observations. We have 20 observations. Now, starting with the first observation, let me read and see if it can be accepted. Paragraph 11. On economic and social conditions in the region, the committee noted as follows. 1. The slight improvement in economic growth in Southern Africa in 2017 on account of firm commodity prices, the improved global outlook and a favorable agricultural season but observed that regional growth was sluggish and lowest compared to the rest of Africa and the world. 2. The spiraling public debt levels in most member states in the region and its unabated growth due to sluggish growth, continued current and capital expenditure growth, revenue shortfalls and bailouts of state-owned enterprises, and expressed concern over the impact of servicing obligations and other development programs. 3. The rising oil prices and the potential negative effects on most Southern Africa economies and the positive effects on the oil-producing regional member states. 4. The declining share of manufacturing in the region, which is inimical to the industrialization agenda. 5. The challenges of over-dependence on SACU revenue due to wild fluctuations which create difficult budget management issues. 6. The differences in the efficiency of tax administration across the region and the need to strengthen the tax system to improve participation and compliance. 7. The importance of corporate and personal income tax, consumption taxes and import duties as the key determinants of total national tax revenue. 8. That policy inconsistencies in some regional member states continue to undermine investment and growth. 9. That the changing political climate in the sub-region provided an opportunity to the new leadership to implement the economic reforms necessary to energize development. 10. The need for the region to accelerate the pace of industrialization and continental trade and develop infrastructure as enablers for economic growth and development. 11. That agriculture remains a key economic sector in Southern Africa, despite low productivity and vulnerability to weather patterns and crop diseases. 12. That the food and nutritional security challenges facing the region due to erratic weather patterns call for stronger regional cooperation in promoting regional trade in maize and the building of capacities to prevent, anticipate, and cope with and recover from food deficit shocks. 13. The potential benefits from a regional approach to developing the battery minerals value chain to take advantage of the booming prices due to the move towards electrical vehicles. 14. Both agriculture and mining sectors are important for socio-economic development, and neither should be developed at the expense of the other. 15. The continued dependence of regional economies on agriculture, minerals, and oil and gas for growth and export earnings, and highlighted the dangers of such dependence, especially where there is limited local value addition and prices continue to fluctuate. 16. The slow progress in the development of untapped renewable energy resources, and acknowledged that the exploitation of renewable energy technologies will enhance the regional energy mix, improve access and security. 17. The endowment of energy resources in the region, but regretted the low levels of investment in the power sector, which undermines production and industrialization in the region. 18. The various interconnector projects and new power sector projects underway and highlighted how, when complete, these will improve supply in the region and will provide the required support to industrialization efforts. 19, the importance of transport and logistics in facilitating trade and development. And 20, the importance of a holistic approach in assessing the benefits from the minerals sector by considering economic, social, and environmental costs, including resource depletion. Mr. Chairman, those are the observations on the first part.
Thank you, my friend Apote. And now the floor is open to you. We invite comments from all of you, dear colleagues. The discussion would be focused on the first set of observations, please. It appears that we have no comments. So, if there is no comments, then we have to close this session, please. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and then we start with the next session. Yeah. Yes, continue, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now we go to paragraph 12, which is observations on the blue economy. There we have 11 observations. Now I'll read, starting with number 1. The committee observed that the blue economy, through various economic opportunities, can catalyze sustainable socio-economic development and should be an integral part of national and regional development policies and strategies. Number 2, that an inclusive and harmonized regional framework for the exploitation of blue economy resources, which factors in the needs and expectations of land-linked coastal and island states, imperative and further emphasized the need for enhanced cooperation among states. I probably should read is imperative, and further emphasized the need for enhanced cooperation among states. Number 3, that collaboration through the provision of human capital by the public sector, intellectual capital by the universities and other tertiary institutions, and business capital by the private sector is key to the success of growth of the blue economy. 4, that the key challenges towards optimal exploitation of blue economy resources include limited knowledge of the benefits, safety, and security in the sector, adverse environmental effects, limited technology and skills, poorly designed legal, regulatory, and institutional frameworks, limited financing for deserving projects, limited collaboration among coastal and land-linked countries, and poor transport and ports infrastructure. 5, that the private sector is integral for the development of the blue economy and industrialization and should be supported by a conducive operating environment. 6, the importance of the development of inland transport and port infrastructure and subsequent maintenance as being a key to facilitating inter- and intra-regional trade and the movement of people. 7, that skills and financial resource limitations continue to undermine efforts by SMEs to take advantage of opportunities offered by the blue economy. 8, the importance of high-level political will in anchoring collaboration in the exploitation of sustainable management of blue economy resources. 9, that innovative methods of raising financial resources at both national and regional levels, such as public-private partnerships, natural resources infrastructure, swaps, pension funds, diaspora remittances, infrastructure bonds, sovereign wealth funds, joint resource mobilization, and regional infrastructure funds could address the infrastructure gap. 10, the importance of nurturing change through mainstreaming of gender in blue and green growth initiatives. And 11, the need for both private sector and state investment in research, development, and innovation to support the growth of the blue economy. I submit, Mr. Chair.
Yes, dear colleagues, if you have any comments on the blue economy, the observation made by the committee from item 1 to 11, huh? Roman 1 to 11.
South Africa.
Yeah. South Africa.
Chairperson, just two points. If they're acceptable, then I'll deliver the text. There's nothing on the youth here, and the youth issue was a big issue. Attraction or the low level of participation by young people. Gender, I think, is well captured. The second issue is the inland waterways, that there is a lack of a blueprint on how to exploit the blue economy within the massive inland waterways that we have on the continent. If these 2 points are acceptable, then a text may be given to the Secretariat. Thank you.
Thank you, our colleague from South Africa. We have taken note of the 2 very important suggestions. Any further? Okay, my friend from Comesa.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick one. If we look at all the items, we don't find any way talking about the partnership. What we raise on partnership is very, very important. The collaboration is an informal way of partnership, but we need that strong way to come out clearly, where we can see the government and the private sector working in a structured way, not just a simple collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you, our colleague from Comesa. We take note of your suggestion as well. We'll take it on board.
Yeah, if you can provide the text for that, since you feel very strongly about it, Terry, thanks.
You may carry, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Allow me now to go to paragraph 13, which is the third part of observations, now focusing on the African Continental Free Trade Area. The committee observed as follows. 1, acknowledged the support of the Economic Commission for Africa in the provision of technical support to the African Union on the ACFTA. 2, observed that AU member states will benefit from an integrated continental market anchored on the CFTA through export diversification and regional value chains. 3, emphasized the need for member states to develop national strategies to take advantage of the opportunities offered by the ACFTA. 4, noted that 49 AU member states have so far signed the ACFTA, 7 have ratified, 3 have committed to signing, and 3 are yet to sign. 5, noted that ACFTA implementation roadmap and milestones to be achieved by March 2019 and the remaining work on the negotiations. 6, observed that it is beneficial for the continent to approach international negotiations as a group in order to obtain favorable outcomes. 7, highlighted the importance of anticipating future trading arrangements with other economic blocs in crafting the continental position in ensuring that adequate safeguards are provided for. 8, noted the need to factor in the bilateral and multilateral agreements concluded by individual member states in the whole framework of cooperation under the free trade area to minimize potential contradictions. 9, noted the need for investment in research, technology, beneficiation, value addition, and industrialization to expand the diversity of exportable goods in order to grow both inter- and intra-African trade. And 10, observed the need for technical support to member states to identify and address the costs and related implications of participating in the ACFTA. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. Any comments on the free trade area, please? Yeah, we find that we have our friend from Zimbabwe. Yes, go on, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There was an emphasis made on, with respect to point 9 by the distinguished delegate from COMESA, but which I think should be treated as a separate item, that there's need for focused investment in logistics and all modes of transport, so that they focus more on on movement of goods and people within Africa, rather than a focus on going to outside Africa. I think if we craft something like that, that would be useful.
If you could kindly submit a paper to the Secretariat, please, no? On this issue. Thank you. You may proceed, please.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Now, allow me to move to the section of recommendations that the committee has put forward. They are in 4 categories, and the first one is on policies, strategy, legal, and regulatory frameworks. Let me start with number 1 on page 6. Create stable policy environments to minimize uncertainties in order to attract investments in transformative sectors, including those with the potential to create decent jobs. 2, reorient national development policies, plans, and strategies to incorporate blue economy opportunities for poverty eradication and inclusive industrialization, and ensure alignment with Agenda 2030 and Agenda 2063. 3, mainstream environmental sustainability concerns in the development and implementation of blue economy strategies and national development plans. 4, accelerate the harmonization of policies, legal and regulatory frameworks across national boundaries to facilitate the development of infrastructure to anchor development. 5, develop integrated legal, regulatory, and institutional frameworks to enable connectivity to various ocean-based economic sectors and the coordination of the activities in the blue economy sector. 6, promote stakeholder participation in the development of blue economy strategies and activities for effective and informed decision-making. 7, foster collaboration in implementation of blue economy policy frameworks among coastal, island, and landlocked countries in order to strengthen regional value chains and benefit collaboratively from the blue economy sector. And 8, develop frameworks and strategies to facilitate private sector participation in blue economy opportunities, including the active involvement of SMEs along the blue economy value chains. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, dear colleagues, on the recommendations on policies, strategy, legal and regulatory frameworks, if you have any comments or any suggestion. Oh, okay. If no suggestion, please continue.
Mr. Chairman, allow me now to move to addressing macro economic challenges. Number 1, build fiscal buffers during periods of high commodity prices to cushion the impacts of retreating prices, drought, and weak global trade and investments. 2, manage rising public debt levels and restrict loans and guarantees to state-owned enterprises, as well as reduce unnecessary borrowing. 3, invest in mechanization and upgrading of the agriculture sector, including the development of irrigation systems for improved productivity, food security, and enhanced contribution to the reduction of poverty and inequality. And 4, strengthen national tax policy and administration to facilitate improved participation and compliance. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any views or suggestions for on the macroeconomic challenges, please? Okay, if there is none, please you may continue.
Thank you, Chair. Recommendations on skills development. Member states should do the following. 1, provide strong political will through leadership to steer the blue economy agenda. 2, invest in the development of human and institutional capacity and the relevant skills to anchor the exploitation of opportunities provided by the blue economy in collaboration with all stakeholders to ensure alignment of skills requirements with industry needs. 3, provide the necessary financial and technical skills support to strengthen intergovernmental organizations to provide the leadership in anchoring and implementing blue economy initiatives. And 4, strengthen collaboration through memoranda of understanding and other agreements on security to address the piracy and environmental management in the coastal zones and to facilitate joint research, and capacity building on the blue economy. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, on the recommendations on skill development, any further suggestion? Thank you. I think you have none. You may proceed, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Recommendations on policies, strategies, legal and regulatory frameworks. RECs should, 1, support member states to develop requisite national strategies to domesticate and take advantage of the opportunities offered by the ACFTA. 2, facilitate the regional harmonization of tax policies and administration systems to create a level playing field. 3, provide a platform for peer learning on blue economy frameworks and strategies. 4, facilitate the documentation of knowledge of the benefits of blue economy activities and the development of comprehensive maritime safety and security in the sector. 5, accelerate the harmonization of policies, legal and regulatory frameworks across national boundaries to facilitate the development of transboundary infrastructure to anchor development, trade and movement of persons, including the development of regional frameworks on the blue economy. And 6, facilitate the development of harmonized regional policy, legal and regulatory frameworks and strategies to exploit blue economy resources to address the current and coordinated approach to the sector. Thank you, Mr.
Yes, thank you. Any views or suggestions on policies, strategies, legal and regulatory frameworks, please? Okay, thank you. There is none. You may continue, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Recommendations on infrastructure. RECs should, 1, facilitate investment in the development and upgrade of multimodal transport systems linking landlinked and coastal states to facilitate trade and movement of persons. 2, accelerate the implementation of prioritized regional infrastructure projects, including those which directly impact on trade. 3, investigate the utilization of non-traditional sources of funding infrastructure development, including public-private partnerships, natural resource infrastructure swaps, pension funds, infrastructure bonds, sovereign wealth funds, and diaspora remittances to accelerate the development of prioritized infrastructure, that is, ports, roads, and energy programs. 4, expedite the implementation of prioritized infrastructure programs and the setting up of centers of excellence for knowledge and skills development to bridge the existing capacity gap among stakeholders. 5, promote and strengthen the use of inland waterways and dry ports and establish safety standards to enable full and sustainable benefit of the potential of the blue economy. And 6, support the creation and strengthening of special economic zones as an instrument for integrated coastal states and land-linked countries into the blue economy regional value chains. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any suggestion on infrastructure recommendations? No? Yeah, it appears there is none. You may continue, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now, let me go to the final point regarding the way forward.
Mr. Chairman, just a point of procedure. The next section on 11, the first point there is the need to expedite the implementation of the AGM recommendations. So we thought it would be good now to actually go to the AGM recommendations, because the way forward now talks about expediting the recommendations. So if you could go now maybe to the AGM recommendations, which you already have there. Thank you.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we'll first of all conclude the recommendation, the report there, and then we'll come back to the ad hoc expert group meeting recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The way forward, there are 4 items there on page 7. The committee underscored 1, the need to expedite implementation of the ad hoc experts group meeting recommendations toward enhancing the role of SMEs in the industrialization process in Southern Africa. 2, the Sub-Regional Office for Southern Africa should closely with member states, RECs, and IGOs and other stakeholders to facilitate continued dialogue aimed at addressing socioeconomic, trade, facilitation, and infrastructure challenges in the region. 3, that the recommendations of the studies on the blue economy and SMEs be submitted to the appropriate stakeholders, including IOC, SADC, and COMESA secretariats for further action. And 4, the urgent need for the Secretariat to follow up on the offer to host the 25th ICE of Southern Africa. We will need a date then to enable the requisite preparations to commence early and consult further with member states on the hosting of the 26th ICE session. Mr. Chairman, I have done the way forward.
We are inviting any comments from the way forward, please. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now moving to the recommendation made by the ad hoc expert group meeting on the role of small and medium enterprises, SMEs, in the industrialization process in Southern Africa. I would request our rapporteur to go on the recommendations, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Allow me to go straight to the key observations, which are on page 3. Yes. Skipping the preamble and the program of work. Page 3, please.
Yes, kindly put the recommendation, please, on the screen. Dalma, it's a recommendation on ad hoc expert group meeting.
Okay, thank you. Let us go straight to the recommendations on page 4.
Okay, it's good now, the recommendation. Okay.
All right, thank you so much. The ad hoc experts group meeting made the following recommendations based on the observations. 1, the consultant should reach out to all member states for updated data on SMEs as well as any other relevant information. 2, the SADC Secretariat should translate the draft report and circulate to relevant member states. 3, member states should harmonize definitions of SMEs to facilitate regional comparisons and the development of appropriate support mechanisms. 4, SMEs umbrella bodies should agree on a unified approach to government to advance their interests. Moreover, umbrella bodies should take stock of membership as proof of economic and social impact, thus reducing anecdotal evidence and improving their influence in the policy-making space. 5, member states should incentivize FDI to embark on forward and backward linkages with local SMEs, supported by fair competition policies among other SME support instruments. 6, RECs and member states should tailor financial services, that is, loans, insurance, cross-border trade, to the needs of the SMEs. 7, governments should introduce policies that facilitate the participation of SMEs in both public and private procurement as a tool to support SMEs to both grow and to register as formal entities. 8, RECs should take the lead in developing a detailed strategy for SMEs in the region in support of regional industrialization agenda. 9, RECs should involve SMEs in regional policy making and setting minimum requirements for participation in government procurement systems. And finally, 10, SMEs should be encouraged to form regional networks to collectively influence government and regional policies. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, sir. We now invite comments from our colleagues on the AEGM recommendation. Yeah, our colleague from COMESA. Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just a quick one. I think we have restricted the support to SMEs to that area of public and private procurement. I think we need to go a bit further because today many countries are using the local content to also make sure that when they negotiate with partner states or some private multinational companies, the local content arrangement are facilitating the SMEs. So instead of restricting it to only procurement, I think it's better to to go further. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think we take it on board. No? Our colleague from Malawi.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chair. I think on the SMEs, there was an emphasis on the issue of quality and standards, which is not coming out very clearly. Maybe I could provide the text for that. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, it's noted, please. In the absence of any further comments, can member states move for adoption of this statement, please? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we want now member states to move for the adoption of the statement, please. So we feel that in the absence of any comments, the statement, no, all the recommendations are adopted, no, yes, are now adopted. We give a helping hand clap to our rapporteur from Malawi. He has done a very good job. Thank you. Thank you, my friend from Malawi. And now we move to the next item on the agenda. It is about the identification of venue, host venue, and date of the next ICE meeting for the year 2019. No? Yes, please.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, colleagues. On behalf of His Majesty's government and the people of Eswatini, may we invite you to the Kingdom of Eswatini for the next meeting.
Therefore, dear colleagues, it is now finalized, no, and agreed that the next meeting of our ICE meeting will be held in Eswatini. Okay, thank you. Well, let us applaud Eswatini for having accepted that. We are moving to the agenda 9, which is the closing ceremony. I would like to invite both Swana on the floor, please. On the stage. Swana? Okay, you can even from.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, mine is the easiest role this morning is to give the vote of thanks. First to the delegates for your very good contribution and for having been very accommodating. Also, we express our gratitude to UNECA and SADC for organizing such an event in this very beautiful resort. Our great appreciation also go to the government of Mauritius. First, for the very motivating presentation and speeches that we had, especially from the several leadership, the different ministers, company CEOs, etc., who shared with us a lot of the experience of how the government of Mauritius is progressing on the agenda of empowering and ensuring that the contribution of SMMEs in the economy continues to grow. We're very grateful to the Mauritian government for that experience and also for hosting this event. A last one would be just for delegates, a word of encouragement for us to make sure that we see the process, especially of seeing the study to a fruitful conclusion on the timelines that we committed ourselves to. From myself, to wish you a safe journey back home. Thank you very much.
Thank you, our colleague from Botswana, yeah. And now I invite our closing remarks by ACA, please.
Good morning, dear delegates. Before I go into my comments, I would like to make an announcement. The evaluation form is being distributed. Please make it a point of duty to complete the evaluation form. We want to get a feedback from you on the discussion and the deliberations that have taken place since the last 4 days. Please kindly complete the evaluation form and hand over to my colleagues so that we get a feedback from you. We've in the last 4 days engaged in very intensive deliberations and discussion, and a lot of issues have been raised. But I would like to refer us back to the point made by the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Republic of Mauritius. He highlighted some very key issues that we need to drive the blue economy agenda. The first is leadership. Leadership is key. Leadership is very powerful. When there's a deficit of leadership, a nation perishes. That's what happens. And I think that's a very important point that we need to take into consideration. The second point that you highlighted was vision. Vision is extremely important. We must not be afraid of dreaming. We must dream and dream big. It's only those who dream and follow up their dreams that eventually transform their societies. We must dream. And I think this meeting we've had in the last 4 days is about taking stock and also dreaming. Good policies are important at the local, at the national, at the regional, and at the global level. Good policies are extremely key. And finally, is the capacity of implementation. And that is where we have a very big deficit on this continent. We need to take implementation extremely seriously. The transformation we've listened to about the story of Mauritius is a combination of these 4 elements: good leadership, clear vision of where they want to take the society to, good policy frameworks. Of course, I will assume there have been mistakes as well in those steps, and very rigorous implementation capacity, which the country has put in place. And we are all evident to the result that we've seen in this country, which nobody gave any chance to survive. Just the same way South Korea was not given any chance to survive. And it transformed from a third to a first world, the same way that Mauritius was not given a chance, and it has transformed itself. I think those are very powerful messages that we need to take out of this meeting. As we, in our different sectors, in our different spaces, in our different constituencies, support the agenda of developing the blue economy. The point has been underscored very strongly that the blue economy offers us immense economic opportunities, whether we are talking about food security, whether we are talking about energy, we are talking about health services through biomedicals, or we're also talking about innovation and technology. There's a reservoir of resources, harvestable resources, in the blue economy which we can use to power development. These resources, if we use them very well, we can also use this in sustaining economic growth and promoting the reduction of poverty and inequality in our region. We should adopt a very holistic approach to the issue of the blue economy. Landlocked and land-linked countries are extremely important, and they constitute part of the production value chain of the blue economy, which we must take very seriously. The point was also highlighted, there's a need for us to have a framework, a regional policy framework for inland waterways. We have the representative, the managing director of Mpulungu Pointe here with us, and I think that's something we need to carry forward and carry forward very seriously. The role of small and medium-scale enterprises in the blue economy sector, I think, is also very important. We must not leave this only to the big players. We must not leave the ports only to the big haulage companies and the big ship owners. Small actors should be part of that production network. And this is the only way we can reduce poverty. If we do agree that a large chunk of the private sector is made up of small and medium-scale enterprises, then they must be there. They must be part of the blue economy value chain. The issue of cooperation, partnership, and regional framework is very important. Here I'm reminded of this statement made by, I think this was the Minister for Small and Medium-Scale Enterprises, when he made the point that it takes two to make a child. It takes two to make a child, but it takes a village to raise that child. Only two people are engaged in making a baby. Very secretly though. But it takes a whole village to raise that baby up. So this for me underscores the extreme importance of cooperation, partnership, and collaboration. And finally on that point is the issue raised by the Commissioner of the Rodrigues, when he made the point that in as much as we want to enjoy all these benefits, we need to be very careful. The video that he showed us is very sobering in terms of the consequences of what we're doing. Therefore, we must put as part of our plan, as part of our framework, the issue of ocean sustainability is extremely, extremely, extremely important as we move forward. We don't want to see those kind of pictures in our oceans, in our seas. And that's also linked to the protection of our ocean, so that we have control over our own resources rather than others controlling it for us. I think for me, this has been very enlightening and this has been very beneficial. And I do hope and assume that for all of us who are here today, we found something useful in the discussion and deliberations that we've had in the last 4 days. Let me thank the Bureau, the members of the Bureau, the new Bureau, led by Mauritius as the chair. Then we have Swaziland as the vice chair, and we have Malawi as the rapporteur. I think it's a very good example, extremely good example, that Swaziland or the Kingdom of Eswatini has decided that, yes, we are taking on the responsibility. We are on the Bureau, so we must shoulder responsibility. I think that's an excellent example, and we really, really thank you for that. Without you delegates, especially from member states, this meeting wouldn't have been possible. I would like to thank you, as we say in West Africa, from the deep bottom of my heart, all the delegates from the member states. You've been the heroes of this meeting, and you'll be extremely, extremely wonderful. Your commitment, your dedication, staying all through the meeting, I think is wonderful, and I would like to thank you very much for that. For our partner institutions, the private sector, the civil society, we're indeed very grateful. Let me in particular single out some of these, some of our partners. The African Union is a very steady partner to our office, and we've worked very closely with them. We really thank you. The African Development Bank, we really thank you. We never paid for the African Development Bank to come here. And each time we invite the bank, we don't pay for them. But they normally respond big time to our invitations. Please convey our sincere gratitude and appreciation both to your regional director in South Africa and also the president of the ADB, Mr. Kiadishino, who happens to be my countryman. Please convey our sincere thanks and appreciation to the ADB. We'll continue to work with you very closely because it's very key to the transformation of the region and the continent. SADC, please convey our sincere thanks and appreciation, especially for the partnership we had on the AEGM to Dr. Lawrence Tax. We're indeed very grateful and we look forward to working with you in completion of the SME framework within the context of the industrialization strategy and all other projects that we're working with you on. Comesa, my brother Thierry, thank you very much for coming, and please extend our sincere appreciation and thanks to the new Secretary General of Comesa. Umpulungu Ports, we acknowledge you for being here. PAMESA, we acknowledge you, and all the other sister organizations that are here that I have not been able to mention. The Swaziland Development Corporation, my brother and our next hosts, we really acknowledge you. I often miss out the Swatini. I'm sorry. Please excuse me because it's a new name. So I have to go back. No, it's no longer Swaziland. It's now Swatini. Thank you very much for coming. The ambassador, Your Excellency, we really acknowledge you coming all the way from Comoros. It was a very short notice, but you responded very fast. We really thank you very much for being here. The members of the media, you've been extremely wonderful. The reporting of this meeting has been very powerful, but we also, as we move along, we also want you to be part of the debate. We don't want you only to cover the meeting. We want you to also participate in the discussion. One discussion we've always had in our office is on the role of the media. And we see the media not only as people covering meetings, but as opinion molders. You are indeed opinion molders in your space. So we want you to also engage, be part of the meeting, be part of the conversation that is taking place. Because you shape opinion, you shape perspectives, you drive society where you want it to go. So we think you are extremely important. We really thank you for being part of this, and we really thank you for the excellent coverage you've given to this meeting. To the two consultants who prepared the background papers on the blue economy and also on the private sector, Dr. Gurumo and Dr. Ngwenya, we really thank you most sincerely for the excellent work that you did in preparing those papers for us. To the interpreters, we do acknowledge you, although the French interpreters yesterday evening disappointed us. They were not here when we needed them in the evening, but all the same, we thank you very much for the excellent work that you've been doing in the last 4 days, and also the Portuguese interpreters. To the organizing team, both on the side of my colleagues and also the government interministerial or interdepartmental team that the government put together, we really thank you most sincerely for the excellent work that you've done in putting those together. On our side, I mentioned the names yesterday: Cizo, Oliver, Mzwaneli, Henry, and all the other colleagues, Bernard, who is at the back, Jacqueline, Dailis. I'm sure in one way or the other you've interacted with all of them, either when you are collecting your DSA, or when you got the invitation letter, or when you got the program. So one way or the other, you would have interacted with all of them in one way or the other. We're indeed very grateful to you for the role or roles you've played in making this a success. And also our colleagues from the government team, it's been excellent working with you. I think the seamless collaboration we've had with Mauritius is a best practice. It's a best practice. In terms of the planning, in terms of the preparations, we had excellent collaboration with Mauritius on this meeting. The senior chief executive, I would like to, through you, thank the government and people of the Republic of Mauritius. Please kindly extend our sincere warmth and gratitude to His Excellency the Prime Minister. He hosted us yesterday in his office, and we were with him for about an hour, in which we had very extensive discussion. SADC was there, COMESA was there, the African Union was there, and it was an excellent meeting that we had with the Prime Minister. Please convey our sincere thanks and appreciation to His Excellency. Also to the honorable ministers who attended the meeting, those who participated in the ministerial session, and those who even did not. Please extend our appreciation and gratitude to them for taking this event very seriously and participating very actively. I think you've raised the bar very high. The Kingdom of Eswatini, Mauritius has raised the bar very high. And the least you can do is to meet them up or to even surpass them. So we look forward to, God willing, meet in the Kingdom of Eswatini. I cannot close my remarks without thanking two people. I must thank them before I leave the stage here. The first is the Senior Chief Executive in the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development. Mr. Chair, can you stand up for recognition, please? He was the one who said when we met in Bulawayo and we were discussing it, he said, we will host you, and we will host you very well. You have delivered. Thank you very much. Mr. Neil Kokil, can you kindly stand up for recognition? He's the Director of Finance and Economy in the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development. He is the operational engine of this meeting. All the discussion we had was with him. And sometimes we go back and forth. He's a very critical man, very critical. He makes sure that, you know, everything is done rigorously. Thank you very much. We really appreciate our collaboration with him. Please, on a final note, kindly tell His Excellency, the Prime Minister, that we'll be back in Mauritius very soon, and very soon. I thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, Said. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I think my role as chair has already ended for the. I am now officially closing. I have to deliver to you the closing remarks of Government of Mauritius. So, dear Director, ECA, Sub-Regional Office for Southern Africa, Professor Said Adejomobi, African Union Regional Delegate to Southern Africa, representative of the Southern African Development Community, representative of the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, all delegates present here, delegates and participants from the various member countries, our ambassador from Comoro, we have a representative from private sector, we have a representative from media, all the media people. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow me at the very outset to thank UNECA for choosing Mauritius to host this 24th session, and also to have entrusted Mauritius with the chairpersonship of the 24th session of the Inter-Governmental Committee of Experts of Southern Africa Bureau for year 2018 and 19. The focus of this year's theme, Blue Economy, Inclusive Industrialization and Economic Development in Southern Africa, has provided all stakeholders a common platform to brainstorm and conjugate efforts together with a view to addressing the challenges posed by these three crucial concepts in pursuit of structural transformation, sustainable economic growth, and enduring progress of all member states. I wish to highlight that this session has been enriched through the high-level intervention and experiences set by our political leaders, namely the Ministers of Foreign Affairs, Minister Environment and Sustainable Development, Business Enterprise and Cooperatives, Ocean Economy, as well as SADC, COMESA, IOC, AU, together with private sector and NGOs locally and abroad. It was yesterday that our Honorable Prime Minister and our Financial Secretary, they were so impressed with the level and quality of discussions that were ongoing here that a special meeting was arranged where UNECA, AU, SADC and COMESA, they were at the Prime Minister's office. We had discussion for almost 1 hour where there were fruitful exchange of views on many common issues. For this, I think we'll have to give a big applause to all our organizations. Our Prime Minister said that there should be strong leadership, there should be commitment, and all these, he gave us a lot of good words, good hopes for the future of our continent. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that there are a number of actions that have to be taken to address the challenges in the blue economy, inclusive industrialization and economic development sectors. I therefore urge all participating countries to commit themselves to take appropriate measures to promote the dynamic diversification of African economies by developing new industries in order to create opportunities to foster economic growth, create more job opportunities, and alleviate poverty. The blue economy is a powerful instrument to spearhead the economic development of a country. There are several potential areas of development such as renewable energy, fishing, aquaculture, coastal tourism, and marine biotechnology, linking our goals to that of SDG 14, that is conserve and sustainable use the ocean, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development will present African countries with an array of opportunities for economic development and ensure food security. Moreover, another area of development lengthily discussed at this forum has been the SME sector, in particular inclusive industrialization. There is no doubt that this conference offered you a perfect forum to assess the importance and status of different institutions and framework associated with SMEs and the inclusive development in the Southern African region. As you may be aware, as you may have noticed, that there are many commonalities as well as differences in the way each country approaches this important engine of growth and its potential of job creation. I am sure that by now you have had ample and sufficient information on the strategies to create common framework that would benefit SMEs of the region. Specific tools such as support or financing schemes were also presented and detailed to you for adaptation and effective implementation in different regions. My most fervent wish today, as we leave, is for UNECA to use this collective knowledge to develop an appropriate monitoring, evaluation, and reporting framework for all members to be on the right track of SME promotion and development. I am fully convinced that all member states will continue to commit themselves to implement the recommendations that have been retained at this here today, this morning. I see this opportunity to heartily thank all the participating member states and its cooperating partners and agencies, namely Angola, Botswana, Comoro, Congo, Gabon, South Africa, Lesotho, Malawi, Mauritius, Mozambique, Namibia, Eswatini, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Rodrigues, Ghana, Seychelles, and Madagascar for their active participation and fruitful deliberation in making this session a highly successful one. And I am pleased to announce that the next UNECA conference will be hosted by Eswatini. A big applause also to Eswatini. Before concluding, I once again wish to thank you all, and in particular the officials of UNECA, with whom we have been interacting since March, since early March this year. And so you visited in March, early next year, and then we had a lot of video conferencing. Thank you for that. Thank you very much for your unwavering support and dedicated participation in the successful holding of this 24th I session. And I am fully confident that as a team, we shall overcome all the challenges and will no doubt move the social development agenda of Africa forward. With these words, dear delegates, I am officially closing this 24th session of the Inter-Governmental Committee of Experts of South Africa. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and may God bless you all.
The meeting has been declared closed, and I think we are having a trip. We're having a tour.
Can I come in a bit? Please, can you remain seated where you are, firstly? And secondly, for those, most of us are leaving tomorrow, so please note that your transport to the airport will leave 3 hours before the departure of your flight. So if you are a 9 o'clock flight, 6 a.m. you've got to be at the foyer. As we are moving in a group, please let's all try and keep time. It's very pointless for other 6 people to be seated in a bus and waiting for one person who is still collecting their wet stuff from the wire, you know. So please let's let's all stick to time. So let's all stick to time and make sure we're at least even 15 minutes before the appointed time, please, so that everything goes well. Thank you. Can you please remain in your seats? There is something they want to pass on to you. Thank you.
We've got some little easier items for you. So kindly remain seated while they distribute this.
Ladies and gentlemen, besides a gift from UNECA, you also, a small token is being offered by Mauritius as well. Thank you.